Welcome to the Hay Kings podcast, brought to you by Krone, dedicated to hay and forage producers. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by Rob Boyle of Rockhouse Farms in Coolidge, Arizona. Welcome to the podcast, Rob.
Thanks for having me on.
Now, where's Coolidge at?
So I'm halfway between Phoenix and Tucson.
Okay.
So right center of the state.
Now, we're recording the first part of January. What are you doing today?
We're cutting and raking hay for haylage. We only had to let it lay 2 days, and we got her down to 60%, 60 to 65% moisture. Mm-hmm. And they picked up everything. So we had one dairy that we ducked. I just have the hay equipment. So I have swathers, rakes, balers, stackers. And then in the wintertime, I help some of the forage harvesters because of the manpower I have throughout the year. Now we're a little bit slower.
Yep.
So I'll go help swath and rake. We were swathing and raking for haylage at one dairy, and now we're moving over, and we're going to start on my farm tomorrow.
That's amazing. Okay, now you're doing some custom operations here. Is that the bulk of your business?
So Rockhouse Farms is my custom operation. So we custom bale 3,500 to 3,800 acres of hay, and we can get 8 to 10 balings a year on our alfalfa, and then 2 for green chop.
So you're talking roughly 10 cuttings.
Yes.
Gotcha. That's so mind-boggling. Most of the country has snow, of course. I know water in the West is for fighting over here. Where's your water come from? So
up until 3 years ago, we got Colorado River water. Mm-hmm. And so that was our supplemental irrigation. There's a 300-mile canal that brings the Colorado River from the west all the way back to the middle of Arizona. Mm-hmm. And now the cities have a priority right, so they get the water. And now I'm strictly a pump farm. We might get a little bit, 4 or 5 days worth of auxiliary surface water, but the bulk of 95% of my water is all groundwater that we irrigate with now.
And for 10 cuttings, that's a lot. Take me through your watering regime there.
So I come from a dairy background, 3rd generation dairyman. I got into baling hay 2 years after buying my farm. We just couldn't find the right guy to come in and do our baling. So I bought a big baler so that we could start baling some of our own hay. My philosophy has always been I'm growing milk. You have to look at the end game. Mm-hmm. So with that, I was always very critical about fertilization and everything on the growing crops I was doing. So with that, what I have learned is we deficit irrigate our alfalfa. We irrigate it once every 26 to 28 days is our cut cycle, and that's swather to swather. I only irrigate it once. The plant is in a stress state that way. You get about 4 inches of water on it. It makes more leaf. It gets a finer stemmed, and our relative feed value and our protein levels will be higher that way versus the areas where they might irrigate 2 to 3 times every 26 days.
Yeah, what's your forage test look like when you're telling me it's a very high quality? What are your metrics there?
So the first 4 to 5 cuttings go from now till June will be 26 to 27% protein, and our relative feed values will be over 220, 230.
Okay. Yeah. That I think most folks are gonna nod their head and go, yeah, that counts as high quality.
And then we got into the retail business after we slowed down on the dairy side. I bought little balers also. So now for my customers that I custom bale for, I can go big bale, little bale. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole different learning curve catering to that market, because here I am trying to make high protein, highly digestible hay, and really in the grand scheme of things, that would kill a horse.
27 protein. Yeah. It better be a working hard draft horse to feed that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we have to be real careful about what hay goes into a little bale. And most of our summer cuttings will go into a little bale. And then the premium cuttings will go into big bales and go to dairies or to export.
Let's take a break there and we'll get a word from our sponsor.
Get big and get better. With special financing from Krone, now you can get 0.9% interest for 60 months on Krone Big Pack Square Balers. That's years of savings at less than 1% interest. Plus, get 2 free pallets of Krone Excellent twine with every Krone Big Pack. Get the bale size, density, and reliability that comes with every Krone Big Pack Large Square Baler. Go big, go Krone. Special financing ends November 30th. See your Krone dealer today.
Okay, now let's talk about the equipment that you're using to get all that done.
So right now we're running 3 Krone big balers. Big fan of Krone. We've run Case, Challenger when they were out, Massey. The Krone balers, we started out with them because we were trying to do high density hay, putting the 1,800 pound bales into containers to ship overseas.
Yeah, direct shipping instead of pressing.
That was the niche that brought Krone into our area. And, otherwise I hadn't really heard about them. And then we had such good luck with them. We just kind of continued on that path. I run 3 HDP balers, 2 with cutters, and 1's normal. The cutters we like for the grass hay, or if we do some sorghum or we do some corn, trying to give us a lot of flexibility. Then we're running, this year we just traded into Case swathers, got 2 windrowers, and then we run 2 Krone triple mowers. We like the triple mowers for the flexibility. We can cut 45 acres an hour. And so if we need to knock down 200 acres every single day, one conventional swather and 1 triple mower, and they can have it done in 6-7 hours, even if we got to do a bunch of little fields that we got to open up.
I'm interested in your choice on self-propelled swather. What have you had? How did you end up at Case?
I was a diehard deer guy. I ran some test machines when the W235s came out, and I really liked those machines. My first series of them, we had 8,000 hours when we traded them, and had never replaced a head, original heads. Motors ran great. They were just getting tired. And then when we bought the second set at 1,500 hours, the DEF problems, the tractor problems, everything was just giving me fits that we jumped into Case. And I still like the cut quality of a deer. Deer just got a little too high priced. I even gave them an opportunity to keep me in deer, but Case just come to the plate with a really good offer. And so we've tried the Cases and been real happy, but the bulk of our swathing is done with a triple mower. So really I'm looking for a cheap, simple, no frills machine for the the introductory employee is the guy that goes and opens the ends of the field. Because every 100 feet, we have a dirt berm that we got for our irrigation checks.
Right.
So you just send the new guy out and he cuts open the field. And he might take 20 minutes to open up a field. And by that time, the triple mower has 3/4 of it already cut. So the high dollar employee is in the triple mower and he's being as efficient as he can. So really, I could have gone with a sickle machine for doing the ends. I just wanted a bare basic. We did rotaries, but I just wanted a basic machine.
And the triples that you're running, what are the conditioners? What's the conditioner setup?
Both of those have the rubber rolls in them.
Okay.
And then on the Cases, we have one with rubber and one with steel because I was trying to figure out the difference. I've always run steel before when I had my deers. And I'm still trying to figure out the comparison between those two. Which one I like better. We've had the Case swathers about 4 months.
Oh, okay. So you've not used them a tremendous amount yet.
Yeah, and the triple mower will dry out the fastest because you're distributing the windrow over a wider surface area, laying 3 windrows. But then it changes everything you do about raking. Because now when you want to put 30 feet together, you have 3 windrows instead of 2. We used to run DARF rakes and H&S 14-foot mergers to move windrows around, trying to put more hay in front of the balers to slow them down a little bit. Then we went to Kuhn 30-foot mergers. And then I've gone to Krone rotary rakes and really like the rotary rakes. We have 2 4-rotor that'll go out 50 feet. And I can put a mower and a half together of the triple mower. I can move the tractor because I can suck one arm in and push one arm out. We can really manipulate those rakes to fit any windrow configuration.
Remind me of the distance between your irrigation checks again.
So we'll have from 45 feet to 150. It's kind of every day we're on a different farm, and every farm is set up different.
I gotcha.
So it's funny, this 50-foot rake, we've got, so that's a 4-rotor. We've got 2 2-rotors, 1 3-rotor, 2 4-rotors. And the guys in the narrowest borders want the biggest rake because they can pick, well, I just want 2 wheels down. Well, I just want 1 wheel down. They can pick so many different options with it. Mm-hmm. That's the rake they prefer.
You could rake the entire span between the checks in one go on the narrow checks.
And then what we're doing right now for the forage harvesters, we put 150 feet into one windrow. So we have a 3-rotor rake we're running in front. It moves everything to the right. And then we run the 50-foot rake behind it, and it closes it all together. So it can be, we can do up to like 14, 15 swath paths that we'll put together for the chopper.
I think the industry clearly needs bigger choppers at this point.
Well, we're just trying to slow them down when they're 1,000 horsepower. You're not even making a dent in it. So,
jeez.
Yeah. And then why I went to mergers and trying to combine more windrows was because the faster you bale and the more weight you put in the bale, the better quality the hay is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, you know, when you're trying to go 14, 15 miles an hour and turn every 800 feet, because some of our fields, that's the longest length of run we have is 800 feet.
And that's an irrigation limitation, right? When you're flood irrigating, you just can't get the water to go across the field much farther than that.
Yeah, we'll have some 1,200-foot runs, but then it takes longer to irrigate, and we're not as efficient with the water.
Yep.
So the tractors are dualed up, front duals, rear duals, and it should tell the guys slow down to 10 or 12 on the corners and then kick it back up again. But, you know, we try to combine the windrows to just make it more efficient for everybody and let those guys slow down a little bit and throttle them back.
I'm a big fan of running balers slow. That's one of the places in life that I've found that slow is steady, steady is fast.
Well, see, and what I always want, 1 flake stroke to 1 charge.
Oh.
So every time the feeder fork comes up, I want the plunger to hit it.
That's getting after it on baling.
Because what I've noticed is the recoil. If you have decent moisture, it's the recoil where you lose your leaf, where the hay pops back.
Yep.
And then if you have no hay in the next charge, you lose more leaf when it pops back again.
It just hammers it a second time. I see what you're telling me.
So,
yep.
So in our drive for quality and improve yield, or, you know, not just yield, but improve overall efficiency, that's where we've kind of come up with, it's one charge, one plunger stroke. We want to be 1-to-1.
You're cutting, you said 200 acres a day?
Yes.
Is your goal? That means you're raking, baling, and stacking 200 acres a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we do that for 20 days, and then we start over again, pretty much.
Yeah. What's your intervals like?
So the goal is to cut five days a week and have 1 day off, cut 5 days a week, or 5 to 6 days. Try to go that many days and have 1 day that we're not swathing in case you need to jump your rakes ahead or your balers ahead.
Yeah.
And we need to bale 400 acres or rake 400 acres in a day due to, you know, I work in a 40-mile circle. And so I have some farms that get lots of dew. I have some farms that get no dew. So the swathers will stop a day, but the rakes will go straight through, you know, where we may be raking on the second day. And then when we go down to where they get no dew, we're raking on the next day, the day after we cut.
I'm beginning to see how you got 8,000 hours on a swather.
Yeah.
That didn't take you very long, did it?
No, that was only like 4 or 5 years.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here with a 4990 John Deere with 3,800 hours on it from 2001. That's a level of intensity that you just don't get to see everywhere.
No, and you got to have the equipment, and to stay on that schedule. We have a lot of redundancy built into things, and especially when we're scattered out, we kind of have 2 home bases. So there's the main shop. We have a couple. We try to leave a triple mower and one swather here. And then 40 miles south, we have a triple mower and a swather.
Mm-hmm.
But the balers and we run 2 steamers.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask about steamers.
So we run the steamers. So those machines will go back and forth. They're too expensive to have multiple sitting, just waiting.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 steamers. Right now, they're on my Grady twin packs. I have 2 twin packs.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
I have 2 Massey 1844s. And then all the 3-string bales are 14 by 21 bale sizes. So everything's chambered down.
Yep. Oh, okay. 14 by 21. Gotcha. That's a retail package where you're trying to hit less than 190-pound alfalfa bale.
Yeah, 90 pounds. You know, the standards of 1522.
Mm-hmm.
And then the twin pack, I like that 1421 because we do 68 bale blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And then we don't need cheaters on our hay trucks anymore.
Oh, sure.
And 544 bales instead of 512. So we get 32 more bales on every truck. So I really like that bale size.
You're not selling hay by the bale, though, but your customers are.
Yeah, I try to just do truckload sales.
Yep.
We've got 7 hay barns scattered out different places.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have 5 different hay squeezes between loaders and conventional hay squeezes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have them staged different places. And then we've got I got a Florida customer now that I met at the National Hay Convention. It's one of my new customers. We haven't gone that far before. So Florida, California, Texas, New Mexico is kind of our area that we sell the little bales.
That covers the bulk of the operation there. Oh, what do you have for stackers?
We run 3 New Holland bale wagons, the 103s.
Mm-hmm.
One with the big bale. We have mill stacks for all 3, but I usually run two with 3-string chutes and then 1 with a big bale. And then I also have a mill stack pull type for if we get into wheat, triticale. Sometimes you got a bale in rows. Mm-hmm. We were tearing up our harrow beds too bad, so I bought a pull type trailer stacker.
Mm-hmm.
And then we run a Hauser built retriever truck. That's a lifesaver. So you keep the harrow beds in the field, and then you run the retriever to the stack yard.
Ah, I gotcha. And does that have the trailer behind it too? So you're doing 2 blocks at a go?
No, most of our hauls are like within a mile, 2 miles.
Oh, okay.
So we don't want to have to disconnect.
Yep.
So we just run the truck.
I gotcha. Huh. That's interesting. And then that truck just goes for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to keep up with the bale wagons.
Yeah. Usually, even if we have a good day, if we're stacking at the end of the field, 2 harrow beds can keep up with the 2 twin packs.
Okay.
On 200 acres a day. Now, as soon as you go a mile, that changes everything. If you got to haul a mile. Yep. So that's where the retriever will come in. And so we'll try to put a 3rd guy and just run in the retriever. But usually 8 to 10 hour days. We try. The goal is to not work anybody over 10 hours. So if you have a rare day that you have some problems, they got to work 12. But I try to keep it at 10 and try to keep at least 4 days off a month, where it might be 2 days off together. It might be 1 day a week, but try to rotate the guys around a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Let's take a break there and we'll get a word from our sponsor.
What's the big deal? Right now, get 0.9% interest on Krone Big M mower conditioners and Krone Big X forage harvesters with 36-month terms on Big X and 60 months on Big M. That equates to years of savings on the Krone equipment you need. Plus, get extended warranties on both the Big M and Big X, 3 years or 2,400 hours. Big performance, big throughput, big comfort. Go big, go Krone. Special financing ends November 30th. See your Krone dealer today.
What's your labor supply like?
You know, I'm very, very fortunate. When I had the dairy, I had 50 employees altogether. 15 worked on the farm and 35 were at the dairy. And there was always turnover, it seemed like, at the dairy. The farm, I've got multiple guys that have been with me over 20 years. Mm-hmm. And it seems like I have 1 new guy every year that I bring in to run a swather. That's our new guy that gets to go open up the ends. Mm-hmm. And we may go through 3 or 4 of those new guys in a year until we find the guy we like. Yeah. We've been very fortunate on the hay crew. I think because we get pretty consistent hours and we've really worked hard on scheduling, like having the steamers. We don't go out at 9 o'clock at night, sleep in the pickup till midnight, get up, check the hay, go sleep for another hour, go back out. I tried to justify the steamers one time on well, let me look at them real hard and figure out if I could just make the guys come in at the same time every day, if that would justify the steamers. And I didn't quite. I wasn't ready to pull the trigger. And then when I got into the retail market, I just needed 5% more moisture. Just 5% more moisture, and that would be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what got me into the steamers. Well, once you get the steamers, now you start being more consistent, and the guys come every day at 3 o'clock in the morning. The 2 baler guys, or 3, they go out consistently every day the same. And the rake guys go out every day at 3. And the swather guys come out every day at 6. So we've built these consistencies to where we're not having crazy hours. And that has helped a bunch. Now, I'm the one who runs the weird hours. I'm the one that I want to be out sometimes in the middle of the night and watch the balers run. I want to be with the swathers. I want to see the hay stacks. So I'll jump all around, but I try to make it pretty consistent. And we have dedicated crews. Kind of, this is the baling, this is the raking, and this is the stacking.
That consistency, I am envious. Envious is the word.
It's one thing I noticed in the dairy industry. As the dairies got bigger, you became more specialized. Each guy had his own role. There wasn't one guy that did 4 or 5 jobs in a day. He just had a designated job.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I look at things on the farm, as I kind of brought some of that management over here to the farm. And then they're cross-trained, you know, but if we're cross-trained, I still try to not jump the guys around a bunch. But like the rake guys, the rakes and the balers are the rakes and the swathers are the 2 machines that are closest to each other out of the whole crew. Because the swathers are usually a day to 2 days ahead of the rakes. So if there is any guys that do multiple jobs, it'll be the 2 rake guys may jump on mowers. I may have 2 triple mowers sitting there and 1 conventional swather. We can rake 200 acres in 4 hours, and then they can go jump on mowers for 4 hours and knock out 200 acres. And then still drive home an hour, and they have had a nice day.
Now, that 3 o'clock in the morning that you mentioned, that's a function of when you do have dew, normally, or when it's possible to have dew. But I'm going to guess you get some pretty extreme temperatures too, don't you?
Yeah, so we'll get into 120, 125 degrees in the middle of the summer. And early in the season, we'll be baling at night. You let the hay dry as long as it can throughout the day. And as soon as the sun goes down, that's when the moisture will start to come in. You turn the steamers on, you start big baling. Start of the season, we'll bale at night. And then as we get hotter, get into April, now we're fighting to where that moisture may not come in till 1 or 2. And when we have the steamers, I'm just going to get up at 3 and hit the field. And if I got moisture, I leave the steamers off, bale without them. And then when the moisture rolls out, they all have gazikis and we're watching our moistures and everything. Then they just fire the steamers up and keep going. So that's helped with the consistency of the time of day. And then towards the end of the season again, October, November, we're baling at night again, because it's a matter of just trying to do everything we can to get that last bit of moisture out of the stem. And I was a big baler guy first, so my definition of dry is completely different than a 3-string guy.
Oh, yeah. There's a difference there.
There's a complete different understanding of what dry hay is and stem moisture. And so when I mean dry, I want it dry. Yep. One of my mentors, he always told me, he goes, you wait till that hay's dry and wait one more day and it's right to big bale. And so we're always on the cautious side on the big bales. And then the little bales will be a day or 2 earlier than the big bales.
Yep. Okay, you mentioned the Gazika. What other moisture sensing technologies are you using? And do you still go out and grab windrows by hand?
There's nothing as good as your hand. I mean, there's times I drive 40 miles just to jump out of the truck, grab the hay, and drive 40 miles back. You know, it's I haven't figured out a way to manipulate that yet. But we run Gazikis on all the big balers and little balers. And then the Crones, we have telemetry on them that I can't get moisture yet. The new series, I can get moisture, but I can get bale weight, length, and bale counts. I can get all that telemetry on my phone. So based off of bale weights, I can kind of know what the moistures are.
And you can watch that live.
I can watch it live, or I can go back a year. I can pick any date and go back in time.
Oh, wow.
And then it'll even show me where the bales were dropped in the field and then running 3 balers, they'll tell me which baler I don't have to color code the baler strings because I can bale all with white string or yellow string. And then I can just look on the app which baler went where if I got one that's not tying right.
Interesting. And you're getting the bale consistency that you need.
Yeah, no. And so one of the things when we were doing the direct shipping containers, trying to get the 1,800 pounds in a 7.5 foot bale.
Yep.
We started using it's a hay curing and it's a product called Dynacure, but it glues the leaf to the stem. And so with that, you get about 100 more pounds in the bale, 100 to 150, kind of like what a steamer documents. Steamers, that's what they'll kind of say. You get 100 to 150 more pounds in a bale. Mm-hmm. With the two, I don't get 300.
Right.
I do get.
They're not additive.
I do get more weight in the bale. But that Dynacure product will help us cure the hay, and it helps it go up, and it helps it retain the color. That's one of the tools in my toolbox that I offer to my customers. Is the Dynacure. It's on all the swathers. We just turn the switch on. We can spray it on your hay. The customers that buy my hay out of my own personal hay barns, my hay is greener coming out of the barn than my customers I bale for that don't use it. So that's another one of the tools, just like the steamer. If you want the steamer, we'll run the steamer. If you want Dynacure, we'll run it. I give the customer a lot of options of what they want. Just today, I ordered Ag Excellence's kits to put on my Massey little balers from Greg Hutchinson. The stroke counter, moisture sensors to put in the Masseys, because on the twin packs, I really like that you can see your last 4 bales and what your stroke count is. Yep. Your flake count. Then you get on your Massey and you turn around the edge of the field and it says you have 50 flakes because you're turning. And then you get back and you get straight again. And now you have 10 flakes. Now you slow down. And now you have 25 flakes. So you speed up. And so what we do with the twin packs is I put one guy with them just to open up ends again. Yep. And I want the big machines to be as efficient as they can be. So we have the ends that we got to clean up. So I put more of my inexperienced crew gets that job of baling the ends. But I want that flake count to where that guy can learn how to manipulate the speed a little bit better. Yep. We want 15 flakes per bale on a 3-string.
That's my number as well. Oh, it's that consistency is priceless.
Yeah. Whether it's going to the dairy, feeding the cows, or it's the horse customer that comes once a week to buy hay at the feed store, it's just been pounded into me that that's the thing we got to work on. So then when we bring the hay to the barns, then we have multiple barns and we sort the hay for that consistency. So I can try in the wintertime now when I'm loading hay out, I can have 2 to 3 different type grades of hay to satisfy what the customer wants. And so whether they buy it today or they buy it in April, it's the same type of hay. Yeah.
What advice would you have for somebody just getting into hay?
I know one thing when it comes to equipment, you can't have it all.
Don't I know it?
As we've gotten bigger and bigger, we've gone to a more modern fleet. And I had a lot of tractors that were 30 years old and getting hard to get parts. We've had to update things. Know your cost. That's number one. Find good help, find good mentors. I had 2 of the best hay guys in the country, Tom and Tommy Arledge. Those 2 guys helped me out tremendously getting started in the hay business. When I was little, my dad was always different when it come to buying hay. Most guys would just call a broker and say, bring me hay. My dad would get in the truck and we'd go drive all the farms. We'd go to Welton, Brawley, El Centro, Blythe, Parker, Poston. We'd hit that whole big hay growing area and go buy all the hay we wanted directly from the farmer. So when I got in the hay business, I just got in the truck and did the same route. And all those guys were more than willing to talk to me and tell me, hey, this is how you do things. This is what's worked for us. This is what hasn't worked for us. Yeah. So try to learn as much as you can without having to pay for your own mistakes. Because some of those mistakes, they're hard to come back from.
Yep. Let's take a break there and we'll get a word from our sponsor.
What's up, Hey Kings? You have a lot of choices when it comes to sourcing your equipment parts, but have you tried Messick's? We have $20 million in equipment parts on our shelves, and we pick up from C&H Parts Depots daily. All this inventory is available with same-day shipping with no upcharges or expediting fees. Messix.com has exclusive features like transparent pricing, photos of parts, fit verification, alternative part options, and an obsolete part search tool alongside the manufacturer's drawings so you're not guessing at what you need. We cover all the top brands, including New Holland, Case IH, Kubota, Krone, and Peckway, and more, all from our website. Our online tools are backed by 60-plus parts professionals who are just a call away, ready to find even the most obscure parts. So whether you're a seasoned farmer or a weekend enthusiast, think Messick's for a convenient and professional part shopping experience. Visit us at Messick's.com or call our parts hotline at 877-260-3528.
Messick's, a helping hand with your land.
What do you think about the nature of the hay market right now?
I think 24 was kind of like a low spot in the market. The dairies didn't buy a lot of hay because they'd loaded up on a lot of winter forage and a lot of corn silage. Lines were kind of tight. One of our big buyers here is Fondamont, the Saudi Arabian dairy.
Mm-hmm.
They cut back on some of their buy-in. But I think it's going to get a little bit better, a little bit stronger. But, our costs have come up so much that you kind of need $200 a ton just to break even. Harvesting wise, we're right at $100 a ton for harvesting. And that's because we're only harvesting a half to 3/4 of a ton every pass through that field.
Right. And that's the nature of your water situation more than anything, right?
Yeah. If I could do 2 tons, I could bale it a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
But we're chasing that reduced yield, so it's expensive. So I figure right now, for quick math, it costs me $100 to grow it and $100 to harvest and store. So I think next year will be a better year, and I think our crop mix down here in my area, because of the water shortages, and some farms had to fallow 1/4 of their acres, some farms have done over half, and some farms have no wells whatsoever. So in my area, our hay acres have diminished. I'll be down probably 200-300 acres is all we'll be down for next year. If cotton doesn't look any better, guys will go back into more hay the following year. It's hard to compete with the Colorado River growers when it comes to growing cost on hay.
Yeah.
They can grow it so much cheaper than us. They got cheaper water. They got cheaper dirt. They have tremendous vegetable leases, things like that, where they can lease out their ground for vegetables, $700-800 an acre.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just they rotate ground with alfalfa. So, they have to grow the alfalfa or something else just so that they can have fresh dirt for the vegetables.
Yeah, something to come back into the vegetables, sure.
So those guys were always the low-cost leader, so they can kind of beat us on price, but nobody can beat us on quality. Our area over here, that's why we have people from Florida, Northern California. They come here, and that's why China's here. There's a compress here with a China, Fondamont. All these guys are here because of the quality and consistency of our desert alfalfa.
We kind of got through your challenges, or at least the normal challenges, water and labor and equipment. Anything else hitting your list right now?
Just thinking about some of the past podcasts I've heard and different things. We play around with like a lot of new type of innovation. We try to, like working with the Grady's on the Jason Grady with the twin packs, things like that. I've tried to use technology. I'd say I'm a younger farmer. I'm 48. I use telemetry. I have GPS trackers on everything. I think it saves me 15 to 20,000 miles a year. Just making sure my guys get home every night and make sure that the equipment's where it's supposed to be and what field's getting cut and not just burning up the road, chasing them all day long. So there's plenty of technology available to help a new guy starting out in the hay business. If you were going to do it with one employee or just family or something like that, it can be done. And there's a lot of opportunities because a lot of people don't, one, want to work on equipment, and number two, they don't want to go get up at night. There's plenty of opportunities to do different things.
That's actually where I've found some success here, is if you can find guys that are willing to get up in the middle of the night, and you're willing to get up in the middle of the night to make that top shelf hay, there's still money in it.
Yeah, and quality always sells. If you got a good product, you can name your price for it.
And my observation is quality always generates cash flow.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things I see as a problem in hay. You can't just haul it to an elevator and get paid.
Yeah. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he mentioned when we were in the dairy business, we had one buyer, and that was our co-op.
Mm-hmm.
They took all the milk, whether it was the peak of the season or the lull of the season, it could be 100,000 pound swings in milk production. They took it all. And now we got to deal with multiple customers, multiple personalities, and everything else.
Yep.
So you got to be customer focused. You got to make sure your customers know they're appreciated. That's something I really try to do, is make sure I check in on my accounts, make sure things are going. What can I change? What can I do? And just try to adapt so that I'm first generation into baling hay.
Mm-hmm.
We never did it before. So there's nothing like this is the way you've always done it. So this is the way you have to do it.
Yep.
We change as we go. So to me, somebody say, hey, we want to try a different bale size. We want to try this. We want to try that. We'll give it a try,
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not cost prohibitive, but we'll give a lot of things a whirl and see what we can do.
Oh, you were talking about cost of production. I just shiver at the thought of people selling hay for $5 a bale still, whatever size bale. They've not updated their mental model on hay pricing because they've not had to buy enough parts yet.
Well, and that's the thing. When you're figuring out your cost, it's one thing, tires, batteries, oil, and it's a whole nother thing when you start trying to figure in what the replacement costs when the swather went up $100,000 from the last one you bought.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, looking at these numbers, that's what led me to like the triple mowers, the bigger rakes. I'm trying to do the most I can with the minimal amount of people.
Yep.
And I had good operators, so why not give them the best tools I can find? So give them a triple mower, give them a 50-foot rake. That 50-foot rake scared me. I was like, man, we're going to be in ditches. We're going to be wrapped around telephone poles. Knock on wood. We're 2 years into these 50-foot rakes. It's great. Same with the triple mowers. I thought we'd end up hitting a bunch of stuff. The triple mowers, we take the mowers off, put the guy on the tractor disking for 2 days, get him used to the tractor, then we throw the mowers on it.
Oh, sure.
So it's all in the training, trying to figure out things. But yeah, no, the costs, I feel like I made more money when I charged $45 a ton to bale hay than I do now that I charge $90. Yeah, it was way better 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, and what's the time difference from when you were doing 45 versus 90?
10 years.
Okay, this is where I pause for dramatic effect and remind people that if they're still selling hay for $5 a bale, they need to update their mental model.
Yes, completely.
Oh, I'm throwing rocks, but it's always good to keep that mental model updated and look at your books. That's for sure. I want to say a special thank you to Rob Boyle from Rockhouse Farms for joining us today. Rob's not being paid to do any of this, so all of his commentary is his own. I do want to say a special thank you again to Crone for sponsoring this podcast. Thank you to Nick at Palmieri Sound for doing all of our audio editing, and Jessica Palmieri for doing all of our social media coordination. You can always check out other podcasts on hay-kings.com. Check out some new items we have listed up there for sale too.